Hello and welcome back to the Care Coordination Minute. This is episode 4. I hope you're keeping up because each episode I try to go ahead and build on the previous one. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more about complex CCM. So, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so really quick, I'm not going to go through this very quickly, but you'll notice that chronic care management started in 2015. That was when this first came out. But there was public comments that had gone through that Medicare actually asked for. And based on those public comments, one of the things that people were saying was, this is great that we could do, up to an hour, the first 20 minutes, and then there are additional two 20 minutes. However, we have patients that take way longer than that and are way more complicated. And so, with that, Medicare listened and developed in 2017 complex chronic care management. Some people use the abbreviation CCCM. I think that we get a little abbreviation crazy sometimes. So, I like to just say complex CCM, but it's really up to you as to what makes the most sense. But you'll notice everything on here is the same until we get down to these bottom two. And these are the ones that sometimes get people a little confused. So, first of all, when somebody meets complex at any time throughout the month, you can switch them over from general or regular, whatever word you want to use, CCM, into complex by having that discussion with a provider to get a medical decision making done. So these are things, it's not just about the 60 minutes, it is 60 minutes of time. Um, but it's also about having that medical decision. Now, we do this every day, particularly in primary care practices. Mrs. Jones is on the phone. She's what this, she wants that. Here's what's going on. What do you think? And you talk to the provider. Do we want to change your meds? Do we want to get some labs ordered? What do we think we want to do with that? And up back in the day, they used to turn around before CCM and complex CCM is they would say, well, have her come in to be seen. Well, we know our patients really well. So complex CCM is a way that if you really need to see the patient, great, have them come in and see you. But sometimes you don't need to see the patient. You know this patient really well, and you can treat them, making sure that you're paying attention over the phone or even through your portals or your messaging, those kinds of things. So, because oftentimes we have some recurring issues with some of our patients. So, you get that medical decision making. Now, that medical decision making lots of times comes in the form of an order, but it doesn't always have to be an order. It can be something like maybe you, as the care coordinator, are asking for, do you want to change your meds? Do we want to order some labs? And the provider says, no, I don't want to do that yet. That's still a decision. No is still a decision. And typically with that, they say, but here's what I do want. I do want you to closely monitor for X, Y, and Z. And so those are the things that we're looking at. Maybe you get an order and then you're going to follow through with the results of that order. You're going to follow through with some additional monitoring and you're going to be paying extra attention because of that medical decision. Maybe it was a yes and an order and follow through. Maybe it was a no. But no matter what it is, there's a medical decision, something that was outside of your hands as a care coordinator and really in the hands of your provider to ask that question and for them to make a decision. And then you have to closely monitor what's going on after that decision's been made. So that's the difference when we start to talk about complex CCM on top of regular or general CCM. So, really understanding that medical decision making, and you've got to document that you had a conversation, here's what's going on, signs, symptoms, here's what it is they're going to do. Maybe you could be doing that in an SBAR communication back and forth through your messaging in your EHR. Maybe it's a hallway conversation. If it's a hallway conversation, you got to document it. Those are the kinds of things we're looking at. And then we get to that 60 minutes or more. And I think that this is where it comes really into play because it's the or more. So when we're talking about CCM and complex CCM over the course of a month, you can only do one. So maybe it's the 16th or the 17th, you're halfway through the month and something arises. You then convert them to complex CCM, and all the time you had tracked prior in the month is now flipping into that complex CCM. So you don't get to bill for both. It's one or the other. So the newest rules we have, if your regular CCM is 199,490, and you can have up to two 99439s. This is in the actual policy. Now, when it comes to complex, say we flip them over, you don't get to bill for these. Now we're billing for complex. You bill for one 99487 for the first 60 minutes, and then you can bill the add-on of 99489 for each additional 30 minutes. Now, this is not written in policy as to how many there are, but every year Medicare reviews these things, and through local decisions and through the MACs, the Medicare Administrative Contractors, they decide what they believe the max is. And so for this year, right now, you could do up to a maximum of 10 additional 99489s. But every year we want to track that and we want to check it. It usually comes out in October-ish and lets us know what it's going to be for January. This one is written in policy. This doesn't change unless the law actually changes. But this one is really up for that local decision making, and they do that once a year. So right now, complex CCM, you could do a total of 6 hours. The first hour here and 5 hours here, 10 additional 30 minutes. Now that's kind of excessive, but if you had somebody you were really following closely, you were calling them every day, you kept them out of the hospital, you really followed close with them, they didn't need to be seen, they just needed to be checked on a regular basis and closely monitoring, then you can get paid for that. So just wanting to make sure that we understand the difference between CCM and complex CCM. And I also wanted to put a plug in that this came out of the fact that public comments were made. And why is that important? Because the public comment period's opening up here pretty soon, so that we're going to be able to make our public comments for 2026. So that's why I put a plug in that yes, they do listen. Okay, so with that, that's your minute. Thank you so much. And please follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Highlight Care Academy, and the link is right here. If this link isn't working for you, I spelled it out. And we also have a group in Highlight Care Academy LinkedIn group. So we have a group and we have a page. Follow us on both, follow us on either. Join the conversation. Care coordination is the future. Thank you so much and have a great day.